I purchased a set of Lomo cameras off eBay a few months ago. I got a mini Diana, I got a couple of fisheyes, I got a Holga, which I told you about in a previous video. You should go ahead and check that video out if you're at all interested in film photography, especially medium format with toy cameras like the Holga. One of the other cameras that I got with that set was the Lubitel 166B. You know, my wife really loves film photography and she likes TLRs, so as soon as this came in, she pretty much took this over for herself. But I convinced her to let us trade on and off during a recent outing downtown in Austin. And so I took a picture, she took a picture, I took a picture, then she took the rest of the pictures. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we did with this camera, and I'm going to show you some other pictures that she shot before we even did this. Because like I said, she pretty much has taken ownership of this, and she's done some family photos and some other stuff downtown on her own. And by the way, when we shot together, we just popped a roll of Portra 400 in here, so that's what you're going to see. Before we do that, I want to give you a quick tour of the camera, show you some of its controls and features. So let's take a look. Oh, first, let me show you some of the specs of this on the lomography website. Now, they don't actually sell, as far as I know, they don't sell the 166B anymore. They've got something called the 166 Plus. The 166B, as far as I can tell, was priced over $200 on their website new. You can get these for a lot cheaper on the used market. But let's take a look at the 166 Plus that they've got on sale now. This current version of the camera is listed at $374. Now, I'm not even sure that that's a lot of money, but that's what it says right here as I'm looking at it. Now, oddly, when I looked at sort of an archive page for the 166B, some of the specs on it don't seem to be correct. It says that it doesn't have a cable release or a tripod mount or a film advance, which that doesn't make any sense, but I guess it meant automatic film advance. So it says it doesn't have these things, but I can tell you that this camera does in fact have all of these things. It's got a tripod mount, it's even got a PC connector for a flash, and it's got the cable release socket. All right, so let's take a look at this camera's controls and features. Now, this is a medium format camera. It takes 120 film. So yeah, when you open up the camera, you'll pop your new roll of film in here. You've got to pull these little holders out like this. You'll pop the roll in, secure it this way, and then it'll roll across these rollers here and onto this spool. And this is how you basically advance the film. This produces 6 by 6 centimeter negatives like this. You can see these are the actual pictures that we shot the other day that I'm going to show you. Now, the TLR is a twin lens reflex camera. That's what TLR stands for. This is the lens that you look through to do your framing and focusing, and this is what's called the taking lens, and this is the lens that actually takes the picture. So again, I'll open the camera back up here, and you can see this lens takes the picture through here. This lens, you're just looking through the viewfinder and through this lens. And these lenses are coupled with sprockets, these little gears here. Let me see if I can get in real close here. See these little gears? So then when you are focusing this picture taking lens, the sprockets move the viewing lens right here. As far as the viewfinder goes, there's this piece of glass here. It's kind of curved. In the middle of the glass, there is this darker circle, and that's more of a ground glass type patch right there, and that's what you would use. That little circle in the middle is what you'd use to acquire focus on your subject. You'd use the rest of it, the viewfinder, to frame the scene. It also has a little magnifier in here, so you can use that little magnifier to more clearly see that little ground glass patch in the middle, and you put your eye right up there and you can focus it that way. You can also pop this little guy down like this and frame up your shot through this hole, so you'd be kind of just peeking through here like this. And another thing that you could do is just close the whole thing down like that and just use this. I guess some people call it like a sports finder, but it's just a very fast way to frame up your shot. Not really the most accurate way, but it'll, if you don't want to spend time focusing and looking through the viewfinder, then that's a way to go. Like I said before, it does have a cable release socket here, and on this side there is a PC terminal for flash sync, and you even have a cold shoe right here for mounting, flash accessories, or more than likely a little flash if you're going to use one. There is a self timer. Cock that. As for exposure control, your choice of film is going to dictate the film speed. Much like with a digital camera, you set your ISO. With film, it's pretty much your film speed is set. Your recording medium has its sensitivity that's kind of built in. So the film that we shot, I said it was Portra 400. So that would be roughly equivalent to using a digital camera at ISO 400. You control aperture with this lever right here, and you can go from wide open as f4.5, and you can close it down to f22. Shutter speeds can be set from 1/15 of a second. You'll do that with this control right here. So you can go from 1/15 of a second all the way to 1/250th of a second. You can also use bulb, which means as long as you're holding your shutter release down, the shutter will stay open. Got a film advance. If you forget to advance the film, you'll be taking, double exposures or multiple exposures on the same frame. So you got to remember to advance that every time you take a picture. If you don't want to do a double exposure on the back, you've got a little frame counter window. And that's basically the backing paper on the roll of film. Will let you know generally what frame you're on. All right, complaints that I've heard from other people are that this camera can be hard to focus and frame up shots, that it's a TLR, which means that, doing close-up shots is kind of, hard to do because you're looking through this lens and this lens is taking the picture. So, you have to kind of make adjustments if you're doing that. I wouldn't take like real close-ups with this camera anyway. Use this for taking pictures of cityscapes or landscapes, Another complaint is that the optics aren't the best in the world, but hey, this is kind of a toy camera, and there's just 3 elements in that lens. I think the lens is glass, but very simple optics in here. So the pictures are a little softer than you might get from, a modern camera. Of course they're going to be. But at the same time, the optics are a lot better than you're going to get with something like the Holga. Now, I like it because it's fun to use. All right. Now, personally, I don't see much of an issue with framing up shots with this camera. Sometimes I use the little focusing magnifier and sometimes I don't. All right, here's a tip. Hold the viewfinder far enough away from you. I mean, it's waist level, right? But hold it far enough away so that you can get a clear view of the scene. Because if you try to do one of these numbers without the magnifying glass, you're not going to get to see the whole scene clearly because it'll be pretty distorted that way. Okay, so we were talking about picture quality. Now look, like I said before, this isn't a sharp lens, but that's not why we use this camera, right? We're not using it for super crisp, sharp images. We're using it because it's fun to use and because these Lomo cameras, they give you kind of a lo-fi quality. They've got their own look to them. But despite the fact that this is basically just a really robust toy camera. And obviously it can be a lot more expensive than something like the Holga, depending on how you acquire one. The picture quality that you get from this is going to exceed what you can get with a Holga or a Diana. And you've got better controls. And I gotta say, I think the controls are pretty accurate as far as aperture and shutter speed. Now, with that said, this camera's not going to give you any guidance as far as exposure settings go, right? Because there's no built-in exposure meter. It's completely manual, no meter. So you're going to have to either use something like the Sunny 16 rule or an external light meter, or do what I do. I've got an app on my phone that serves as a light meter, and I think it works pretty well. Overall, I would say that this camera is a lot of fun to use. It might be cool for, something that's entry level if you're just getting started with TLRs or medium format photography. But, do I like the quality of the images that it produces? Not so much, not even as much as with my Holga. And my Holga, the lens is you're going to get really distorted images that way and a lot of vignetting, but that's part of the reason that I like using it. The thing is, the Holga is a lot easier to use than this. And this is almost like the pictures are almost there, but not quite. It's like the Holga images are so lo-fi that anything goes. But with this, it's close enough that you notice it's just not that good. Like I said, this is the 166B. I bought it used, so who knows, right? Maybe a different model, like 166 Plus, that sells for apparently, man, that gave me sticker shock, like what, $374. Maybe that one takes better, sharper images. Honestly, I don't know why it would command such a high price. In any event, you can find the 166B for next to nothing, sometimes on eBay or, maybe Craigslist or what's the Facebook one? Marketplace. Just check around. I'll go ahead and try to find some links and throw them down in the description below to help you out. In any event, the Lubitel 166B, I hope you liked this little overview. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and the little bell icon. People are always saying, click that little bell icon so you get notified when new videos come out, right? Other than that, that's about it for today, guys. See you next time.